so excited to be bringing you great money content this week. We're going to be covering budgeting, savings, investing, paying down student debt, negotiating your first salary, and Adulting 101, which covers all of the things that most people don't learn about at home or at school when it comes to money. So, we're going to make you smarter about making financial decisions. And this is the information that's going to be really helpful for you to build a strong financial foundation. So, let's get to it. So let's just start out by talking a little bit about what personal finance actually is. I think money is one of those things that many people find overwhelming and confusing. So, personal finance isn't necessarily hard or complex, but there are a lot of moving pieces, and you have to think about how changes in one area of your life, for example, your budgeting, have an impact on things like paying down debt. Essentially, personal finance is a term that covers sort of all money management, savings, investing, budgeting, buying a home, retirement planning, and taxes. But more importantly, it's about reaching your financial goals and maintaining financial health. The last thing that you want to do when you're starting your financial journey is to be stressed out and overwhelmed and feel like you don't have enough money, feel like you're over your head. One of the things that personal finance education or financial literacy does is allow you to really understand the concepts, understand the language, and then apply it to your daily life. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to talk a little bit about our emergency savings, and then we're going to talk about how to set financial goals. One of the most important concepts in personal finance is net worth. We often hear about it in the billionaires list at Forbes, but essentially, your net worth is what you have left over after you've paid off all your bills. So, if you sold all of the assets, and those are things that are just worth money like cash, a home, a car, if you sold all of those things and you paid off all of your liabilities, like your bills, your student debt, your loans, your home, your car payments, would you have anything left over? And that's essentially what net worth is. It's what is it that you have left over? And that's really important because oftentimes people get confused, perhaps with, being rich and making a lot of money but not really thinking about their net worth. So you can make a lot of money, you can make six figures and still have negative net worth because at the end of the day, if you don't own assets that are worth more than what you owe everyone, you'll have negative net worth. On the other side of the equation, you want to make sure that you are paying down your liabilities. So you want to make sure that you're paying down your debt. So, one of the ways in which people decrease their liabilities or pay down their debt is to pay special attention to budgeting. I don't like to make budgeting more complicated than it is. So, I have one small rule for budgeting that makes a lot of sense, which is you can't spend more than you make. The other rule that's important to budgeting is to not make it feel like it's about deprivation. You don't want to feel like you can't spend your money, but it should be about prioritization. So, spending habits should be about prioritizing the things that you really want in your life. So, let's look at how to budget and a couple of different methods to do so. The first method we'll go over is the 50-20-30 plan. The 50-20-30 plan, it essentially says that no more than 50% of your take-home income should go towards fixed costs, things like food, housing, transportation, bills that must get paid. 30% of your take-home income can get allotted to things that you essentially don't need. Those are your wants. Things like going out to eat, Netflix subscriptions, gym memberships, shopping. 20% of your income should be dedicated to savings. That could be a 401k plan, an emergency savings, or some other type of savings and investment account. The other popular method for budgeting is called zero-based budgeting, and the rules are pretty simple. You want to allocate every dollar that you bring in to a particular category. So, for example, if you make $3,000 a month, you can see here that you are going to then allocate each of those dollars to a particular category. So, unlike the 50/20/30 plan, which allocates based on a percentage, in zero based budgeting, you allocate every dollar to a particular category. There's no right or wrong way to budget. The key thing is finding a method that works for you. So, we all know that life happens, and that's why we have an emergency savings. So, what are the basics of an emergency savings? Essentially, you should have anywhere from 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside in a cash account. So, if you have a savings account attached to your checking, that's great. If not, you can always open a high yield savings account. You also want to make sure that you are paying yourself first. And what we mean by that is making sure that a percentage of your check is going towards your emergency savings goal automatically. And it's very easy to do this these days with a auto save. Just ask your bank, and if not, we have some recommendations below. If you're just getting started setting up your emergency savings, start with a number that is achievable. So, for example, I would start with $1,000 as your goal and give yourself 6 months to reach that goal. If you already have an emergency savings, your next target would be to save 3 to 6 months. And again, work backwards. So, if you want to save $2,000 more in 4 months, you need to go into your budget, in particular your wants, so your flexible spending, and trim that 30% so that you can find that extra $500. We all know how important it is to set goals in life. A financial plan is no different. It needs some goals for the short term, the intermediary, and the long term. So, short term goals generally are goals that are going to be achieved within a year. Intermediate term goals are generally executed over a period of 1 to 5 years. And then there's long term goals, which take more than 5 years to achieve. With any goal that you're setting, you need to make sure that you're being realistic and setting achievable goals and making sure that you have a timeline associated with each goal so that you can work backwards and know what you need to do every week or every month to ensure that you're achieving that goal. So now that you know the fundamentals of personal finance, let's get started by giving you an assignment. We have below some worksheets so that you can do a financial 360. A financial 360 includes a net worth calculation, and you can find that worksheet below, a debt assessment where we want you to put down all of your credit card debts and their interest rates, a 3 month look back at your spending, and you can use any number of online apps to do this, and we have some suggestions below. We also want you to take a look at your budget and go ahead and test out the 50/20/30 plan or the zero based budgeting and see which one will work for you.